If anything, what I see here is that South African comic book artists, one, they're not united.
Right.
Two, they don't
Definitely.
like talking to each other. They are competing with each other. They
Yeah.
might follow each other, but they will not like each other's work. They'll pretend, you know, others don't exist. It's a disgrace.
Yeah.
I even DM'd a few artists and just asked them, hey, what do you think about the comic book community here in the country? No
Mm.
response. The
Yeah.
jealousy, and I don't, man, it's just pure. I don't know if it's jealousy because, like, dude,
It's
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 not
the
as if I'm a
industry that's so
superstar.
small. Again, I'm going to throw it back to broadcasting because we're so
Hmm.
saturated. Like the same thing applies. You know, you want to you do support each other the way that you might sympathize with someone, but empathy is a different thing. You know?
I've tried to change it, and I'm very tired. I'm 27, but it feels like I've been doing this for 47 years. I'm extremely tired. I still get calls and people sending me messages wanting to be my disciple,
Yeah.
and they can't do the first thing. The
Yeah.
first thing is relax, and here's the homework. Do this. Let me see what you can do. They cannot do it. And
Right.
it's like, guys, if I start a group, it always ends in arguments. So if anything, I think that this can't be changed because of people's pride, I suppose.
I don't want I don't want to dictate your narrative or try to stop you from that as well. Like everyone's opinion is their reality as well. So it makes it foundated, you know. Um I'm loving it because it isn't what I would hear somewhere else. I do have a question though in terms of like so you mentioned Quasi, etc. and stuff. You know, and this was actually thrown over to me with Ziad from Awali Comics, and he said to me, "Well, why don't I just, as you can see, I'm a TMNT fan. Like, I would go and pay $500 to write, you know, right now, which I had for the last Ronin, but I question paying, like you say, the $200 for a local comic, right?
Mhm.
And you know, it's kind of that mentality where we don't have the money on things that we don't want to buy. South Africans do have a culture of, because we work hard. South Africans do work hard, right? And it's the whole thing about bottled water, right? Why not just buy? Why don't you just drink water out of the tap? But I worked so hard. I want to pay the 12.99 to just get bottled water. Is it such a crime, you know? Um,
Mhm.
but like you say, supporting local products, it's always suddenly
It's
questionable in that context. So at the moment, so you let's say you're hanging up like your sketching tools, you know. Um, I believe you know things need to take time, and you might rotate back. You always rotate back to a passion, you know. So,
yeah.
so the thing is, I mean, again, I mean, I had a stroke. And I do communication for a living. You know, I should have just ventured forth and did something else. So I'm struggling still, but I can't not do
Mhm.
what I love. You understand what I'm saying to you? So I had to learn how to
Yeah.
speak again or whatever it is, and you know, why put the effort into this? You know, um,
Hmm.
but you can't like yeah like
I don't want
she's
to give
your
up. I'm not saying,
she's
yeah,
your
I,
your
mm.
side chick, man. This is your side chick.
You're right. You're right. And I will say then, there's a term for it. I think I'm career traumatized,
Right.
you know?
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
So
interesting.
whenever I pick the pencil up, it stings, actually.
Mm,
I put the line down, it hurts, and thoughts come that, what's the point? It's over. You're never going to make it. Like, doesn't matter how good you are, whatever, forget it. I saw an example with Awali Comics, and I did want to talk to him and say, man, but I didn't think he'd listen to me.
well, you
But
know what?
I,
Before you finish that sentence, just in case you get into trouble, so I asked
mhm,
the same question to Ziad, and he said no. same as you, he doesn't create stories on purpose to include us, because it's quite coincidental. There's two black characters, two white characters. You understand what I'm saying to you, as his main in Siriwatu, right? And he said he doesn't include that in there because it just takes away from his creative process, you know,
The
to
thing
have to,
is,
you know, constantly have to
mhm,
represent, you know. It
the
just so
thing is how it's
happens that
sold.
yeah,
How
yeah,
it's sold is first African or Afro manga thing. It's how the thing is sold. If the
Afro.
character happens to be black, okay, fine, but don't sell it that the first South African comic, the first blacks, like the way Kwezi was sold. Does
Mm,
it mean we're supposed to jump and buy it because it's the first black superhero?
mm. This is kind of relevant to actually see that you are in this space now, you know. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, and that's reality. You know what I'm saying to you? So many people will
Yeah,
kind of shy away from wanting to publicize a moment where, you know, because
yeah.
everyone has them.
I'm all about honesty and transparency.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's by lying to each other we create problems down the line, you
Yeah, but
know.
I mean, you know,
So
you know, in like I say propaganda. I say press porn. You know, so
mm,
we have to always put out a like a certain sec of, you know. You can't
mhm.
really, you can't really, you know, you can't really, let's say, put out like you said, the transparency that you'd like to. It would have to be in different contexts, you know. Yeah, yeah. You know, my first commercial boss said to me, "You got to learn to play the game," and I felt. I said to him, I was young. I mean, I was 24 at that stage when I got into commercial radio, and I said
Mhm.
to him, I don't understand that. I said, play what game? Because up to then, like I was like just doing radio was enough. Like it was so great. Like you know, it didn't feel like work ever. And I did it for free. Obviously, that's your community, you know. And that
Mhm.
statement for me was like, that's so. It sounds so depressing. Now I must go and play manipulative games, you know. And I felt like the more corporate it got, I was worried that the more tainted the passion would get, and it does.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? The moment it moves from, like you say, like a passion level to, well, quote unquote reality. You know, when you want to make money, when it starts to become corporate, there's business in there.
Yeah.
Play the game. Play
Play
the
the
game.
game.
Yeah.
Mm. Wait, the one last thing I'd like to know from you, your own opinion on this SJW diversity, I call it nonsense. What do you think about it? Don't you think it's forced? Because I saw in one of your latest video, second last one, it's as if you have to be careful of your words, not to offend.
Oh, right.
And
And the
I don't like
diversity
that.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like that restriction, because I'm not the type who gets triggered by all this garbage. I'm against this. So I don't
Yeah.
like when people have to restrict themselves because they're not the correct race and stuff like that.
Mm.
No, that's bogus. So what do you think about it?
Look, I mean, as I said there, you know, it's we're in a time right now, an era where uh it's a meism thing, you know, and
Mhm.
the meism kind of dominates over the realism, you know, where there should be, you know, like you say, like attitudes that are changed, and you know the way that we approach things must be different, and you know, but that meism is drowning all the, like the real purpose and the real want for growth and whatever it is in movement, right?
Yeah.
You see, and that's a problem. I I'm not. It's not that I walk on like whatever eggshells and stuff like that. I feel like you know, the same way that I want to understand, for I'd like to be understood first before assumptions are made. In any context, because that's really
Mm-hmm.
annoying is when people make a snap judgment about the way that you view or do or whatever it may be, right? Without actually
Mm-hmm.
asking the era of having a conversation is over. You see, that's why
Mm-hmm.
you tread carefully in general. And the thing is, where there's again, like for example, here we have very we have racial. You understand what I'm saying to you? Not lines. We have racial problems because of
Tensions.
certain, yeah, that's it, because of only certain sects, with only certain,
Yeah.
right? But the
Mm-hmm.
thing is, again, you see, then we see the narrative of the world, and again, we're not alone. I don't like blaming South Africa. I don't like it. We're not
Yeah.
we're not the worst at it at all. They make us out to be the worst, but there's so much hate, and it's blatant in America, in Europe, like it's very very elitist, like races there,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be, I mean, again, I always say this classists are the same kind of thing, that elitism around it's the same type of hate, it's just built in a
Mm-hmm.
different in a, with a different dress and different cap. um I so that, because this is not, because it's and also to say that, let's say, hashtag Black Lives Matter, or kind of like respecting where the Black community are trying to move, um
I don't
it's
respect it. Just saying, Black Lives
look, I
Matter is not
mean,
for me.
look,
But
the
yeah.
thing is, again, it's the same thing as I said to Terry. I said to her, look, there's only a certain amount that, like, a white person, or someone that isn't brown, you understand what I'm saying to you, will always and only be able to understand, because anything beyond that, I would find insulting. I'd be like, why are you presuming? There was the third degree presenter who is married to a black man, but she propagated black empowerment, and it sounded insulting. She must stop. She's not the like I said, like the white female Jesus for black people. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
just she should have just kept quiet, but she didn't.
Yeah. Everyone who looks like me wants to kill me for the things I say. I do have a political channel where I talk about the political and reasons why Africans are the way they are. I give you history. I
Holy
tell you
crap!
why they, yeah, I tell you why they are the way they are.
Why
And
are they the
I
way
don't
they are?
spare
Why?
they it's it's now I don't know if you're going to believe me, right?
I
But it,
again, perception,
oh,
reality.
okay.
Eh? I'm listening.
Okay, great. Now you understand that in this country, ancestors are greatly respected, right? Right. And did you know that the ANC goes to Mandela's grave once a year to ask him for advice?
Okay, that's pretty cool.
No, it's not. That's ridiculous. How are you going to ask a dead person advice on
How
how
do
to
they?
govern a people?
I
Exactly.
mean,
How, if you think about it logically, it
we
doesn't
can't. You
make
can't.
any sense.
Madiba reigns supreme with everything. We like if he's going to talk from the grave. If there's one person that could be able, do it, it would be Madiba. Like
Well,
yeah. But I hear you.
yeah,
Speak on. Tell me.
but technically that doesn't happen. So because of this tradition of honoring dead people, honoring the dead means you dishonor the living. And the
Mm,
only way to please the dead, you must hurt the living. And you hurt the living by being dishonest to your own, by treating them badly, by cheating on your spouse, by not being there for your children when they grow up, by stealing from your neighbor, so
yeah.
on and so on. I'll send you a video because I document, in a way, a slideshow as to what I'm talking about right here. This is very important, understanding that Africa going backwards is normal, but they themselves are not aware of why it is the way it is. Do you know the term mlungu? You've heard of it, right?
Tell me.
You don't know it? Mlungu. Well,
Mlungu.
they say it means, yes, Mlungu.
Yeah.
Do you know what it means?
No, tell me.
But you know it's used when referring to a white person, right?
No, I'd love to know then.
Oh, okay. Well, every black person in the Southern Hemisphere grew up calling white people, oh, Umlung. And Umlung is actually a title for a demigod. A demigod that long ago, okay, I don't want to go there, but point is, these demigods are known for their kindness. They are known to give prosperity. And here we have a bunch of people, even Julius Malema, who's an open racist, calling white people a demigod that is kind. You see? And these
He
black
uses the
people
term
who
Mlungu.
hate, yeah, he's used it before, you know, it's that they don't understand that you hate white people, but at the same time, you're calling them demigods who bring about prosperity. Right? They don't understand history, so on and so on. There are many words that they use that they don't know where it comes from. You see? And so when I present all this information to them, because I go to the articles, I show you the information on my political channel, they want me dead. They say, oh, you sold out. You're an Uncle Tom. Are you even African? Blah, blah, blah. Dumb things like that. Exactly. And it's like, guys, we need to admit that something is wrong here, but they never want to admit it. Just like the case that happened recently of that black lady who stole, who used 800,000 Rand, heard about it on the news? Yeah. What did most of the black people say? Oh, she's a victim. Oh, it's racist. Why does she have a white judge? Oh, no, that's mean. Don't send her to jail. That's ridiculous. Why? It's because she's black, because she's a victim. And what did she do with the money? She bought sex toys. She bought weaves, fake hair, and she bought alcohol, not fixing her house, not fixing her family's issues. No, just short-sighted way of living, right? And so these sorts of lifestyles repeat themselves all the time in the community. And you wonder why the ANC is failing to take this country forward. It's because in the African culture, there is no foresight. There is no concept of foresight. You know,
they will come in,
and that
I can see why.
Yeah,
you
but
get your
it's
death
true.
threats.
Exactly, it's true. It's absolutely true. I mean, I've seen family members behave in a way that they shouldn't behave, and now I know why. You know, it's complete madness, and it's sad, but it is the truth. And it's like, guys, if you're not going to admit it, so be it. Quick thing, you heard about Nhlanhla Lux, right? This guy who's against foreign nationals.
Now he's just literally speaking about him today.
Right. Now here's what makes him very clever. Now I do think he's an agent, because I don't think a normal that this might sound racist, but I don't think a normal black person can be that smart as he is. I think he got trained. Right.
Sure.
I know it sounds racist, but
no, that sounds terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah, it does.
A terrible thing to say. Oh my word! But
it's based on where he grew up, right? And what would make me different? It's a long story. But Nhlanhla Lux is so smart. He did not create a website for his movement. He did not write a written standard for his movement.
He didn't.
He uses the people's emotions.
Yes.
To get everybody going. And so he's so smart that he knows if I create a written standard, these people will not read because they don't like reading. They don't want to commit to a standard. That's why the Constitution is toilet paper to the ANC, right? And so Nhlanhla Lux is able to mobilize a group by saying, hey, this guy is selling drugs. Or if the guys don't feel like working today, he'll say, hey, Granny is feeling bad today. He uses two appeals to emotions, vengeance and protection. Right. And it's very, very effective. It's just not long term. And this sort of way of leading is what every dictator in the continent has always done. Now, I know this, but the normal people who follow Lux, they don't know this. If I were to tell him that you are creating a dictator, Santa Lux will be the law, as
Mm.
Robert Mugabe became the law, they'll
Right.
call me crazy and kill me, you see? So these are the things that it's very hard to find people who would sit and listen and converse about what you're saying. There are other educated dudes I went to school with. I tell them this, and they call me crazy. When last year they were burning KZN, in that video, I was with an old friend, and I said, "So you want to protect everybody here? You want to agree with all this madness? Look at what these Zulu people are doing. There's a witch doctor throwing voodoo juice on a shield to deflect bullets in case the police come and shoot them as they go bust up Jacob Zuma. What do you think about this?" And then he just said some humbo jumbo rubbish. Could not admit that, you know what, we have a problem here. And I said, because you will not admit it, this will continue. I even made a video about Swaziland before KZN happened. I said, what happened in Swaziland, where the king butchered his own people, and the people were so short-sighted that they decided to set fire to every grocery store there and cried that they're hungry now. I said, this is proof that these people are short-sighted. They burnt down everything and starved to death. And then it happened a month later in KZN. Same people who burnt down shop right there, they're hungry now. And I said, guys, you cannot reason with them the same way you reason with somebody who understands what critical thinking is. I even made a video about why there is no critical thinking. There's no time. People go to school where it's dysfunctional. They come home where it's dysfunctional. And then they have to go sell onions or beans on the street. When do they have time to do their homework? And the only time of relief is when they're getting pregnant, you know, and then a child is born, they can't take of it, and poverty escalates further. It's a huge mess, but you'll never hear this on the radio. I've called into 702 radio. I've called into Cape Talk. I've called into SAFM, and they never want to listen to the full thing because I'm too controversial. And it's like, no, I'm just realistic. You need to address this, because if you don't, the problem will just keep happening. But people my age and younger, as Nhlanhla said, they pot heads, they drink, and they play games all day. And so it's like, who's really logical and young, who's left? Nhlanhla is. And he will be a dictator if he does get into power. So this is the reality on the ground. So for me, what I enjoy, aside from drawing, is talking about these issues, educating others, them asking questions. What about this? What about that? I can give you the whole history of everything, and from an unbiased source, because I'm looking at it objectively. I don't get triggered and say, "Oh, that's mean," or whatever. No, I'm honest. If you're guilty, you're guilty. What is wrong is wrong. It's that simple, you know.
One more question. Look, I mean, again, we say we've agreed on one thing definitely, is that South Africans have a lot of problems in their day. You understand? Like, so we have a lot to deal with throughout the day. It's, you know, to be able to find the time, energy, resources to, you know what I'm saying to you? If someone's following, I would almost reckon it to a cult. Like, this guy's basically the same thing as a cult, because it's it's so specific, and it has a specific agenda. But the agenda, as you say, you understand, because Lux is clever. It's not about the foreign nationals. It really isn't.
It's not really,
about, yeah. But my thing is that so followers of Lux are seeking just a solution to you understand what I'm saying to you, because South Africans have a lot of problems in the day, you know. And if someone does offer you a solution, I mean, that's basically what the EFF does as an opposing party, and they should, you understand, show quick fixes. Why can't we? Because that's the job of like I say, of a party that's of the opposing party, they have to challenge the ANC. They have to, and the easiest way to do that, and that happens everywhere, is to bring up
Hmm.
the like I say, the basic kind of norm thinking. So what I'm saying, to white capitalism, or like you say, like there's this mass amount of unemployment, which is true,
Exactly.
and so that's what I'm saying. Like I watch the EFF, and I actually um I respect him, because
Really?
he is very clever. I find that he
Hmm.
is a very good opposing party. I don't think he wants to rule, though. That's the thing.
Who? Lux.
No, no, no. I'm saying, a leader of the EFF. Oh,
Oh no, he just wants chaos. I see him as a racist barbarian that just needs to disappear, because it's so easy to get South Africans into a euphoric frenzy.
yeah,
Just
but that's what
say,
I'm saying. But that's what an opposing party does. So the ANC
mhm,
should respond, and be open about how, it's not a one-dimensional race thing or whatever it is, but they don't stand up and do that type of thing. Or, for example, the unemployment. Let's say Malema like stands out for it. Where does the ANC, where does our government actually make a statement to fix that? You understand? So the leading party should be opposed, so that they can find opportunities too. You understand what I'm saying, to you? To
yeah,
actually better their country, but also, like, still gain that loyalty, regain that loyalty from, like, ANC followers. You understand? To retain that. But
yeah, totally.
cool
Mm.
conversation. I will. Yeah, I'm gonna have like a moment editing it, but yeah.